Hello, my name's Darren Bugg, and today I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a very long time, and that is stay in a hotel chain called Best Western. Now, if you are familiar with my other films, you'll know that I go all over the country trying out budget hotels that can be used for business purposes, or if you just want somewhere cheap to stay that's going to be of quite a reasonable quality. Normally I stay in Premier Inn or Travelodge, and that's not a coincidence because Premier Inn are the biggest hotel chain in the United Kingdom and Travelodge are the second biggest, and then going far down the list are hotels like Jury's Inn and Britannia Hotels, and then the various Ibis hotels and Best Western. And Best Western don't have that many hotels, so they're a long way down the list of hotel chains in this country in terms of the number of hotels they have. Now, I have stayed in quite a lot of Best Western hotels in the United States of America, but in the United Kingdom they really aren't that dominant at all, and I thought just for a change I'd try a Best Western. Best Western are pitched probably somewhere similar to Premier Inn and Travelodge. I'd say probably a little bit upmarket on Travelodge, possibly even a little bit upmarket on Premier Inn, but it's very variable. And they do have a lot of hotels that are based near motorways and main roads rather than in city centres. So whereas Premier Inn and Travelodge, they have hotels all over the place. They have hotels at service stations, near motorways. They also have hotels right in the centre of cities, in suburbs. Best Western seem to have hotels in slightly more unusual locations. So they don't have many in city centres, but they do have quite a few by the side of major routes, main roads, that type of thing. And that's exactly where I'm staying today, because I'm staying just off the A1M motorway, very close to Peterborough. And the reason I've decided to stay here is because I'm on my way down to London from Yorkshire, and normally I'd just drive straight down or I'd take the train, but today I've had to go to several places en route to London and I've had a very busy day, so I didn't really want to have a 4 or 5 hour drive all the way from Yorkshire to London, so I decided to stop on the way. And I've chosen this particular hotel, which is at a place called Norman Cross, which is just south of Peterborough, just off the A1M motorway. So it's where the A1 becomes a motorway for a stretch of about 15 miles. And it's a very, very fast road before it becomes the normal A1 again. So it's a very strange road, is the A1. It in parts it's almost like a country lane, and then all of a sudden it becomes a motorway, and then it becomes quite a slow road again. But this is a very, very fast part of the A1 motorway that bypasses Peterborough, and it's quite a good place to stop because it's just over halfway down the motorway from where I live, going down to London. So good place to stop, good place to have a night's kip, and then I'm going to make an early start tomorrow morning and drive down to London, which will take me about an hour and a quarter, maybe an hour and a half. So this is the Best Western Milestone Hotel near Peterborough, and it has I have to say it has impressed me so far. I wasn't quite expecting it to be of this quality. I had a bit of a shock when I arrived because I parked in the car park, and I think there's only about 2 cars in the entire car park, and it's down a little lane just off the motorway, and it feels very, I wouldn't say bleak, but a very sort of spooky place. It's almost the type of place that would be featured in a horror film, if you had a kind of a motel or a hotel in a horror film which is nearly deserted and there's nobody in the car park and there's just one person at the reception desk. So it had a really strange feel as I got out of my car. I felt slightly spooked. It was almost like being in a horror film. But once I got inside the room, I was very impressed. There's a nice big telly. It's spotlessly clean. The bathroom is immaculate. There's a nice big bath. And so far so good. So I've only been here about an hour. And first of all, I'll give you a tour of the room. And as I do that, I'm going to compare it to Travelodge and also to Premier Inn, because I do normally review Travelodge and Premier Inn, but I thought I'd do this just as a change and say what are the good points and the bad points, what's better than Travelodge, what's better than Premier Inn, and how are they better. So let's have a look at the room to begin with. So starting with the bed, I haven't tried it out yet because I've only just arrived, but it looks very, very comfortable. It's really nicely laid out, this room. They've got these, it looks slightly old-fashioned, these headboards, but they also look really nice, in good condition. It's a bit traditional, but it's actually quite nice. Got a nice comfortable chair just in the corner of the room there, and they've set out these towels on here, which I know it's only a bit of a gimmick, but it is quite a nice little touch that they've done this. It's just a nice thing to do. It looks like a comfortable bed. I will report back tomorrow after I've had a good night's sleep, hopefully, but it looks like a nice kind of comfortable bed. And nice modern light fittings, bit of a picture on the wall there. And here is air conditioning. I wasn't sure whether the room would have air conditioning or not. And let's see if it works. And I hope it does work because it's quite hot today. I'm in the middle of August at the moment. Turn it down, I've just heard it come on. There we go. It does appear to be working okay, and I can feel that now. So yeah, top marks for the air conditioning. Nice sort of picture on the wall. And then turning towards the window, nice big bright window. It doesn't have a very good view, but it's letting in a lot of sunlight, which is very nice. And then more pictures and the all-important TV, which is an LG television, which is the same brand that I have at home. It looks like quite an old-fashioned TV, but it is fairly big, and I think this is a 32 inch, which is quite nice because it is fairly big, this room. And there's nothing worse than being in bed a long way from the TV and having a small TV, and I've had that a few times when I've been at Premier Inn, but that's quite nice because it's big enough to be able to see it if you're lying in bed. I'll just step back a little bit. You've got the desk, mirror, nice aluminium desk lamp, and they've even put some tissues. I don't know why, I've not seen that before, but some tissues on the desk. And then just turning around to the coffee tray, and this is all very nice. They've got a metal kettle, which I always think is a good thing rather than a cheap plastic one. It's quite nice, very similar to the one I've got at home. Much better to have a metal one. Good selection of coffees and sugars and some milk, and they've even put a couple of bottles of water, and also extra marks for having proper glass. You go somewhere like Travelodge and they just give you a bit of plastic. Same at Premier Inn, but it's nice to have proper glass. Some nice mugs. There's nice mugs, those as well. Nice sort of designer mugs. As I always say, the wine they don't provide. I've provided that myself. Something a bit unusual is a proper wardrobe. And normally at places like Travelodge and Premier Inn, you get those just like a rail, but this is an actual proper wardrobe, which is again a nice touch. And it's sort of. It's old-fashioned, but it looks new, so it's quite strange in a way. It has the feel of a traditional sort of hotel. I mean, it's in good condition. The wood is in good condition, so it's obviously fairly new and looked after, but it just has a sort of old-fashioned feel as well. Usual problem, mention it on all my videos. There's only a few coat hangers. I think there's 6 there. I mean, that's plenty. I'm only here for one night, and plenty of room. Put my laptop case and everything, hide it away. So that's fine. There's a safe in the room. I'm going to turn round now to the bathroom. A very, 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 very nice bathroom actually. It is immaculate. Really clean, some really nice lighting. Nice modern, well looked after, big mirror. Usual hand wash stuff there and a shaver point. Nice toilet and snazzy flushing mechanism. And something I love in a hotel, ta-da, a bath. Because in a lot of travel lodges and Premier Inns you don't get a bath. In some of the better Premier Inns you do, and Conversely, in some of the worst travel lodges you do, the really old-fashioned travel lodges, they often have baths that are being refurbished and replaced by showers because they want to cram more people in. But this has got both. It's got a shower, and it's one of those showers with the hose, which if you've seen my other films you'll know that I love this style, having a hose. And if you want to know why, you'll have to watch my other films and I explain in great detail why I prefer these hoses. But you've also got a bath as well, and top marks for that, that's great. And it's nice and clean as well. If you just look at the sealant all the way around, nice and clean, nice clean towels, nicely folded. This is really impressive for a budget hotel, I have to say. I'm just going to go back out into the room then, give you a wider view of the whole room. So there's the bed. The room is actually bigger than what it looks on my film. I'll move back, just sort of scan back a bit so that you can get a better view. And it does have that feel of being fairly spacious and very, very, very clean and comfortable, but slightly old-fashioned. And I don't mean that in a bad way. There's some of the older Premier Inns, some of the older travel lodges that feel old-fashioned because they are old, but this looks almost like they've done it deliberately. I mean, like for example this wood here, it looks old-fashioned, but it's also in very good condition, as if it's almost new, which is strange. It must be that they're just going for this more traditional look, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, a lot of the budget hotels these days, like Ibis, like Travelodge, like Premier Inn, they go for this sort of modern look, but I quite like it. And they've got the wood here, a lot of wood, but it is in good condition. It's not like just something that's like 20 years old. It's like it is quite new, but they've gone for that more traditional wooden look. Now here is something that, I use this phrase a lot, it's a double-edged sword. And if you probably haven't guessed what it is yet, then I'll tell you. This is a link to next door. So what this is designed for is families travelling with children, where the children go in one room and the adults in the other room, but they can, without having to go out into the corridor, you can go between one door and another. And if you're travelling as a family, then that is great, that is fantastic, because you can have your kids or whatever person you're travelling with in one room, and you can just sort of go through and see them, check they're okay, without needing to go out into the corridor. That's great. The disadvantage, if you're travelling on business purposes, which is what I'm doing today, or if you're just travelling alone for whatever reason, then if you've got somebody else in this other room, it can get very noisy. And I had a very bad experience at a hotel in Manchester about a year ago, where I was in this type of hotel. It was a Premier Inn, and it wasn't a very good one either. And unfortunately they had this kind of joining mechanism between the two rooms, and it was very, very noisy from next door. And in the end I had to just leave the hotel and ask for a refund because it was so noisy. I don't think that's going to be a problem tonight because the hotel is so empty anyway. I think it's probably extremely unlikely that there is anyone in the room next door. But that is the only disadvantage. If you're travelling on your own, if you're travelling on business, if you want to make an early start the next day and you've got somebody noisy in the room next door, then that can be a problem. So it depends really. If you're travelling as a family, that's a really good thing. So just moving towards the window. Now I suppose the view you're going to get depends on what room you get. And as you can see, I've not got a particularly nice view, but I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered at all. This is just somewhere to sleep. It's certainly a big window and it's letting in lots of light. I do prefer hotels where I can keep an eye on my car, but I did manage to find a parking spot that was right next to a CCTV camera, because I've quite an expensive car and I didn't want to leave it, especially in such a deserted area, in a car park where nobody could see it. But I found a fantastic spot right next to CCTV pointing right down on my car, so that's a good thing. The car park's massive. You'll have no problem getting a parking space, that's for sure, and the parking here is free as well. You have to give your registration number when you arrive, but it's free parking and there's plenty of it. There must be about 100 parking spaces and literally 2 cars in the car park. So general opinion, I think this is quite nice. I think I'm going to quite like my night here in this particular hotel. So what's my overall opinion of this Best Western Hotel, and how does it compare to Travelodge and Ibis and Premier Inn. Well, as you know, if you've watched my other films, I do tend to stay in Premier Inn and Travelodge, mainly just because there are more of them throughout the country. There aren't that many Best Westerns in the United Kingdom. There are a lot of Travelodges and even more Premier Inns. Premier Inn is the biggest hotel brand in the United Kingdom, followed by Travelodge. So if you look through my other films, you'll see I mainly cover Premier Inn, Ibis and Travelodge, and a few independents as well. So this is something completely new to me, staying at a Best Western. I have to say it is really nice. I would say it's better than nearly all the Travelodges I've stayed in, apart from the Travelodges with a super room. But even then, this is probably better than a lot of Travelodges that have super rooms. It's better than most of the Premier Inns I've stayed in, not all of them. I've stayed in some really superb ones, like at Heathrow Airport. They've got fantastic Premier Inns at Heathrow and at other airports. But for a cheap, or a fairly cheap hotel at the side of a motorway, this is it's really good. It's at least 3-star standard, I'd say. Not quite 4-star, probably 3.5 star. But it certainly is a lot more impressive than what I was expecting. The quality of the furniture, the quality of the bedding, the hygiene, the cleanliness is fantastic. It's got a bath, which is great. It's got a fairly big TV. It's got air conditioning. There's lots of nice little touches that they've added to the hotel, which they didn't really have to do. It's weirdly quiet, very, very, very quiet, spookily quiet here, which might just be the location, which is a shame really, because it's a great place to stop just off the motorway. If you're travelling from the north or from Scotland and you want somewhere to stay on the way down to London, then this is a really good spot. But as I said earlier, Best Western aren't a particularly big chain in the UK. I've stayed in many Best Westerns in the United States, and they're all perfectly okay there. There aren't that many in Britain, but they've done a really good job here, and they've obviously made a lot of effort. Just a shame that I'm in a hotel that doesn't seem to have any customers at all. So this is the Peterborough Milestone Hotel at a place called Norman Cross, which is just off the A1M. And I'd certainly recommend it. I booked it at quite a good price as well. I noticed the price had gone up quite a bit today, if the rack rate is a lot higher, but the price that I paid, which was only last week, was actually a lot cheaper. So I think a bit of advice on this one is make sure you book in advance, because it was substantially cheaper just by booking a week in advance. Yeah, I definitely recommend this hotel, and I'm also going to look out for other Best Westerns in future, rather than just going for the bog standard Premier Inn and Travelodge. I think I'm going to have just a look out for Best Western, because this might actually be quite a nice alternative. My name's Darren Bugg. I make lots and lots of films about hotels for use with business travel primarily, but also obviously you could be travelling alone, you could be travelling with a family. I'm looking mainly at the business traveller. If you find this type of thing useful, please remember to give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and share the film with your friends. And until next time, thanks a lot and safe travelling.